What's the most important part of email marketing for direct-to-consumer online brands? Is it actually sending email campaigns? Is it creating and setting up automated flows that will go out to subscribers like your welcome series, abandoned checkout? Or is it actually just growing the email and SMS list in the first place? Well, if you say sending emails, then you'd be wrong. If you said automated flows, you'd be wrong. But if you said list growth, then you'd be correct. And in this video, I'm going to show you why that's the reason. And I'm also going to show you how to grow your email and SMS list quicker and how to fill that list with high quality prospects that actually want to buy your products. So retention marketing at its core is really boiled down to email and SMS marketing. And there's a couple other things that play into it, but we'll focus on email and SMS marketing for today. And within email and SMS marketing, there's really only three things that actually matter to get results. So the first thing that really matters when it comes to email and SMS marketing is list growth. So this is, essentially just getting more people to join your email and SMS list, but it's not just more people, right? Because you don't want bad people on your email list, people that won't buy, right? You don't want those people. You don't want people that are going to mark you as spam. You definitely don't want those people who are going to hurt your deliverability score. And, you don't want people who are just going to unsubscribe anyways, right? You want to fill your list with actual high quality prospects, people that will buy, that will actually spend money with you. They'll actually engage with your emails, right? Like maybe they'll open a lot of them, maybe they'll click a lot of them, maybe they'll actually even reply to your emails depending on what your call to actions are. And you want people that are going to stay engaged. So you want people that are going to do this over the long term. So how can you fill your list quicker with more high quality leads? Well, that's what I'm going to show you today after we kind of touch on the other two priorities here. So the other two priorities here are automated flows. So automated flows. And these are things like your welcome series. So someone joins your list here and they get your welcome email, right? And maybe you wait another day and you send them another welcome email. So this is what's known as a welcome series. It's part of your automated flows. Another example of this is, let's say somebody abandons checkout. They go to your website, they add a product to cart, they actually reach checkout, but then they abandon it. Well, now we can follow up with these people, let's say 1 hour later, with an email that says, hey, you want to return to checkout and finish what you started, right? Or something like that. And again, you can kind of do this over like multiple emails. So you get the kind of point here. That's what automated flows are. They're super important, but they aren't the most important part of email and SMS marketing. And then finally, over here, number 3, you have campaigns. Now, when you think of campaigns, you can think of things that are a little bit more timely, right? So maybe like holiday sends, anything that's kind of like a one-time send, maybe like a product launch to your list, and any more like big sales like Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Those are things you're going to be sending out in your campaigns here. Now, we're not going to touch on these two today. I'll save those for other videos, but I am going to focus on list growth today. And like I said, how to grow it quicker without using kind of black hat weird techniques that a lot of people might tell you that you can do. And I'm going to show you how to grow it with high quality people that have the right intent behind joining, right? So let's jump into that. So we already kind of covered what the most important part of retention marketing is, right? It's list growth. And yes, this actually is the most important part of your retention strategy. It's simply just getting people to join your list and then getting as many people to join, as many high quality people to join over time. Because if these people aren't on your list, right, you can't send them a flow. You can't send them through your welcome series. You can't send them a campaign. So how would an email campaign be more important than list growth if you have to actually depend on the list growth for the email campaign, right? How would an automated flow be more important than growing your actual email and SMS list if, again, it's dependent on having people in it? So let's kind of step away from that for a second, and let's look at reframing this, right? So how about we stop viewing subscribers as people for a second, and let's view them instead as cold hard cash, right? Let's view them as dollar bills here. What would this look like, right? So let's say that this circle right here is your list, and these people right here are potential subscribers, right? So we have potential subscribers and we have our email and SMS list. So as soon as this person enters this list, now we can look at them as a dollar bill. So I want you to think about this. So every time someone joins your list, they are now worth anywhere from $10 to $50. And that depends on a lot of things. It depends on things like your average order value, right? Your customer lifetime value. And it also kind of depends on your product type as well. It could be less than $10 based on these things, but it also could be much more than $50 in your case. Now, you may be sitting here like, well, not every person that joins my list ends up purchasing right away. So I like to think about this a little bit differently. I like to think you're investing money into ads to basically get website traffic, so website visitors here, and hopefully your pop-up can convert like hopefully 8 to 10% of those website visitors onto your email and SMS list. Now, not everyone's going to purchase, like I said, but the people that do end up purchasing on your email list as a whole are all going to average out to be around $10 to $50. So another way you can kind of think about this and your email list is kind of like a stove, almost. Like you can picture your stove, this stove, as your email and SMS list, right? And when people join, they get put in the stove, they get put in the oven, right? And they are basically warming up in there. You're now able to warm them up and get them ready to then take them out of the oven and enjoy them, right? Now they're spending money with you, whatever. Not the best analogy here, but that's kind of what I like to think here. So what is your email list actually worth then? Well, if we do some quick math here, if you have 1 million email subs, right? And they're worth anywhere from $10 to $50, right? Well, at a minimum, you're going to have a $10 million asset. At a minimum. That's if each person is only worth $10 each. At a maximum, though, you're looking at a $50 million asset for your business, right? If you have 100,000 email subs, with that same kind of math there, right? You're looking at a minimum of $1 million for your email list at $10 a person there, at $10 a pop. But again, at the maximum, you have a $5 million asset there for just having 100,000 email subscribers. That sounds like a pretty good deal to me. Even with just 10,000 email subs, right? At a minimum, that's going to be worth $100,000, right? $100,000 for a 10,000 email subscriber list. And at its maximum, that's going to be worth $500,000. And the best part here is that you actually already dished out the money up front to acquire these people onto your list, right? And so now email and SMS is all about extracting that value from them, right? So that means every new subscriber is another chance at increasing lifetime value, right? So every new subscriber now is your chance at increasing customer lifetime value. It means that every single sign up that you get to your list now is one step closer to predictable, recurring revenue. And it means that every single opt-in that you get is a compounding growth lever for your brand. And that's why focusing on growing your email and SMS list is so important. Now, how do we actually go about growing our email and SMS list faster with higher quality leads, like I said? And how do we make more money from every single website visitor that we get? So it's a good question. When you hear somebody though say, grow your email list quick, 99.9% of the time, you should be running for the hills. And this is just like a get rich quick scheme. Most of the hacks and all the stuff that people talk about, they don't actually work when it comes to this stuff. And maybe they'll look good in the numbers, but they're not going to look good when you send your email to the people that they somehow got on your list and all your emails go to spam, or maybe they're not even real people at all. There are 100% plays that you can make in your business and in the world that can blow up your email list overnight. One like podcast appearance or anything like that, it'll do the trick. But a lot of times that's luck and it's not a system. We're focused on creating a system here. So the first thing I want to kind of just touch on is never buy email lists ever. And I'll explain why here. So never buy email lists. So first of all, that is, it's basically a no-go for any privacy laws pretty much anywhere now. In the US, the UK, Canada, it's pretty much just not going to fly if you buy an email list. It's against the rules, right? But besides that, it will completely destroy your deliverability entirely and send your reputation. Because when you send an unsolicited email like this, you're going to get a lot of spam complaint rates. You're going to get a lot of unsubscribes. And the email service providers do not like to see this. They like to see actually the opposite, right? They like to see people replying to your emails, clicking on your emails. And so once once the email service providers see this, they're just going to put this big red flag on your account. And that red flag is very, very hard to get off once you have it. And, most of these leads or email lists or whatever that you can buy are fake anyways. So they're not even real people, right? And if they are real, they don't even know who you are. So why would they spend money with you? Like, they likely don't know who you are unless you're like some big brand like Nike or something like that. So they're not even going to buy from you, right? So where did this all even come from? Well, this is not the wild west of email marketing anymore. It's just not the wild west email marketing like it was in the 1990s, the late 1990s, early 1990s. Back in the day, people would buy millions and millions and millions of emails off of these email list databases, and they would send emails to them. And even if they got like a 0.001% conversion rate on those emails, they still made a ton of money because they sent it to so many people, right? But that sounds awesome, right? But this is literally how spam was invented, was because of people like this doing this black hat marketing stuff. And that is literally why the word spam and the term and everything that goes along with it now in emails was literally created, is because of people like that. So those days are long gone. In today's day and age, you really need battle-tested, legitimate ways to grow your list quickly and actually fill it with high-quality subscribers who actually will open your emails, click, and actually buy from your emails. So let's actually dive in and see how we can actually do that today. So let's actually look at this. I'm going to show you 3 different kind of buckets of things that would be, legitimate ways to grow your email list quicker. So the first one here is going to be pop-ups, right? And you're probably kind of rolling your eyes right now, like you've heard this 1,000 times. And I want to just say that these pop-ups that we're talking about, they aren't the ones that are sitting there like, you know, subscribe and save, subscribe to our newsletter for updates, right? Like most of the time, that's kind of like the CTA that people will use on their website, right? And that's just not going to work anymore, and it's going to get a very poor opt-in rate, and it's no wonder that you're just not growing your list at the rate you want if you're using a CTA like this, right? So let's just cross that off immediately. That just does not work anymore. And it's also just boring, right? Nobody really cares. So instead of, you know, generic stuff like this, you need pop-ups that are actually going to convert, and convert so high that it's almost unbelievable, right? You can see right here above 20% on a pop-up that we did for one of our clients. And this is astronomical. This literally means that 20% of all first-time website traffic is converting onto the pop-up and into our list. Most pop-ups, for reference, convert at like 1 to 2%, especially if you have something boring like that, right? So let me show you like an example here of what I will come and typically see on a website when I do an audit. So let's say you have your funnel here, right? And a lot of brands are really good at filling top of funnel. They are really good at paid ads, content, influencers, affiliates, you know, whatever it is. They're good at putting traffic through the door. So traffic comes in, right, to your funnel, and there's really two places that you can send people to on like a generalization basis. So there's places like marketplaces like Amazon, right? We're not going to really worry about that. And then there's actually your website, which we're going to talk more about your website today. And what happens here is when somebody comes to your website, most of the time, and this is what I end up seeing a lot of the time, is people really just only have two options, right? So people can either buy. So let's say people buy, right? And around 2.5% is the conversion rate that's, you know, on average, whatever conversion rate that we'll see for a brand. So 2.5% of people are buying. Well, what are the other 97.5% of people doing here? Well, they're gone. They're leaving. And that's the problem with the traditional kind of e-commerce list growth funnel here. Now, I'm going to draw out the e-commerce funnel that I'm going to be talking about for the rest of this video, and we're going to be filling it in as we go. So we're going to start with the same kind of thing at the top here, top of funnel. And we're not going to really worry about this stuff here. This is just traffic. You're just pushing traffic into your funnel, right? So we're not going to worry about all that. The same thing is going to kind of happen here with the Amazon versus website, but we're just going to focus on the website for now. So let's just say, in this case, we're just going to focus on the website, all right? So when people land on your website, right, that same 2.5% of people are going to buy. So we're going to leave that as a constant there. And people are still going to leave, right? But we don't necessarily know what percent of people are going to leave yet because we haven't filled out all the rest of this stuff. So people are still going to leave, so we're going to put that there. But now what we're actually going to do is we're going to add a pop-up here. And let's say that this pop-up is converting 8%, which is a good range. It's something that you should aim for, definitely. So let's say that your pop-up is converting at 8%. And let's also say that you have a sign-up form in your footer. So I'll just say sign up in your footer. And let's say that that's converting at like 1% for this example. Well, now you can take these people, right? And you can funnel them down into one of your automated flows, your welcome series, for example. And that's going to push more people to buy. The offers inside of your sign-up form, if you do it correctly, and the offers inside of your pop-up are also going to increase the amount of people that are going to purchase from you. So already we have gone down from 97.5% of people leaving up here to just 86% of people in this example. And again, we're not using crazy numbers here, but you can already see the way that this kind of plays out and the importance of it, right? So now we've talked about pop-ups, right? So now let's talk about something a little bit different here at number 2. These are what we call micro commitments here. And these are going to help not only grow your list, but they can also help you increase conversions as well on your offers. So what do I mean by micro commitment? So the easiest way to explain a micro commitment is if somebody lands on your website and they see a pop-up, and the normal kind of pop-up is, offer, right? And then, enter your email box, right? And then a button to submit. So that would be kind of the version A of this in this example, right? This is no micro commitment here. So what would a micro commitment actually look like? So it'd be the same pop-up. You would have the offer here, but instead of the email box automatically, you would have some sort of question here. So the question might come before the offer, it might come after the offer, but it might even be the offer. So it might say, do you want 10% off? With a button that says, yes, I do. Once they click that button, well, okay, now we're literally just going to show them this part. So now we're going to show them the place where they can add their email. And this is what's called a micro commitment. Somebody already committed to pressing that button. They said, yes, I do want this 10% off. So they're more likely to now enter their email and finish what they started. So you can use these micro commitments in your pop-ups, in your sign-up forms. You can use them in maybe even quizzes. You can use them in your ads even. And they're just a small way to get more people to say yes before you ask for the bigger thing, which in this case would be the sale, right? So you're just getting someone to say yes before they make the actual purchasing decision. And then the third thing that I'm going to talk about here is something that I'm sure you've heard before, something called a lead magnet. So what is a lead magnet? Well, a lead magnet is basically something cheap or free that your audience would find valuable. So something cheap or free that your audience would find valuable. Now, like if you have like a supplement company, for example, this could be like a workout plan, right? Or something like that. That's a lead magnet. If you have like a pet food company, then maybe you could have a quiz style lead magnet where they get a custom formula or they get custom advice based on what dog they have. Your lead magnet could also just be like a buyer guide. Which product is for me based off of my goals and stuff like that. That's also a lead magnet. A lead magnet could be maybe like a free sample of something, right? That you can then try and upsell the bigger package. But the key here is that you want to take people from wherever they are. Maybe they're coming from content, maybe they're coming from ads, and you want to gate this lead magnet. And what I mean by that is people will have to actually enter their email address in order to get the lead magnet in the first place. And this is just another way to get high quality prospects that are interested in your lead magnets, because hopefully your lead magnets are solving a relevant problem or they're giving some sort of value that's relevant to your product, right? But a lot of people do this wrong, and that's why they are unable to do this long term and they're unable to make this like sustainable. So the thing you want to do is you want to add something called a thank you page, and you want to put some sort of higher AOV offer on this thank you page. So what I mean by this is, let's say you're a supplement company and you're giving out free workout guides. Once somebody fills this form out and gets the workout guide, that workout guide will automatically be sent to their email, for example. But the person will automatically go to this thank you page. And let's say on this thank you page, there's a big supplement bundle, right? There's a bunch of different supplements that you are trying to sell somebody. And let's just say that this is a $120 bundle with, let's say, 50% margins on it. Well, now you have an opportunity to recoup some of the money that you spent on ads or content or whatever you did to drive top of funnel awareness for your lead magnet. Now, not everyone's going to take you up on this offer, but enough people will if it's a good enough offer that it will be worth it. And on top of this, you now have this person on the email list, and you can send them campaigns, you can send them welcome series, you can send them abandoned checkouts. So you have more opportunities to convert them later. So my recommendation, if you're running any sort of paid ads or anything like that, my recommendation would be to build out like 5 to 6 really good lead magnets. Have 5 to 6 really good lead magnets. And those, again, could just be offers, free samples, anything like that that's relevant to your product. And then dedicate 10 to 15% of your ad budget to these lead magnets with the thank you page and everything like that. And then you could also just link these lead magnets in your link in bio or on your content or wherever you're making content. Have your influencers promote them. You basically just want to make them, impossible to miss here. So now let's take one last look here at the funnel. So now with the addition of the lead magnets, now we have people coming in to different parts of your website, right? To view different things. So lead magnet 1, lead magnet 2, and this could go on for however long you want, right? And each one could have its own kind of unique thank you page offer based on what the lead magnet actually was about, who the target audience was for it. And again, these are high AOV offers, right? So at the end of the day, these are going to get more people to buy. And again, while they're going to get more people to buy, but they're also just going to fill your welcome series and grow your email list once again with high quality, high intent prospects for your store.